Welcome back to Die Better. I'm Abigail. I'm here to ensure we normalize these conversations and education about death and dying so we die better at the end of life, and also still bring in death into life so that we can make the most meaning of it until we get there. Today we're going to talk about the holidays. Two subject areas I want to cover when it comes to the holidays around death and dying. One is how the death of a loved one and kind of what it means around the holidays and kind of what comes up in the holidays. And then secondly, dealing with a possibility of it being a last holiday for someone, a loved one who is dying, or maybe yourself, who, if you are dealing with a serious illness, maybe this might be your last holiday season. One thing about the holidays is they just tend to bring out not the greatest in us, which is very similar to death and dying. You know, when someone is dealing with death and dying of a loved one, if you might see like certain family members, even yourself, if you have poor coping mechanisms, those are just magnified at that time. And the holidays seem to do that too. The holidays are a time where there's a lot of emotional attachment to things. Particularly, we kind of compare it to when we grew up. We may have positive memories associated with the holidays. Oftentimes we can also have memories and associations of stress, negative types of experiences. There are some people who don't even want to deal with the holidays because they might just be too traumatic for them. So what I want to first say is around the holidays, particularly if you've lost someone, a loved one that has died, or even if when I say loved one, I do basically mean a person that you had loved at some point. They may be blood relation or not, and somebody that has died. Now, you may not have ended on good terms with them, and so something like the holidays would really bring up a lot of emotion. Whatever it is, a loss of somebody, a loss of something around the holidays, that brings up a lot of emotion. So oftentimes what happens is you feel like you kind of take a step back. You experience the same emotions you did when that person was dying or when that person just died. You are experiencing oh my gosh, there's not going to be another holiday with them. We're not going to be able to do this in this tradition with them like we did before. And there's a huge sense of loss. There's a huge sense of grief and all the other emotions that came and existed at the time somebody was dying or died. So what I need you to do is, first of all, be really, really just start to prepare yourself mentally, emotionally, even physically for the fact that this could be a very emotional time. It could be a very exhausting time. So this is when you really, really, really need to prioritize how you care for yourself. And it's not just self-care with being in a bubble bath. If that really fills up your cup, great. But self-care in that, make sure that you are eating well. And yeah, go eat the Christmas cookies or whatever holiday treats they have out there. But make sure that you are prioritizing eating things like your fruits and vegetables, whatever your prescribed diet is, ideally, drinking your bone broth, making sure that you're well hydrated, all those kinds of things, especially incorporating good, healthy foods in addition to all the stuff. I always, when it comes to diet and all this stuff, my end of the day conclusion is focusing on bringing in more healthy things and enjoying the same stuff the stuff that you like at the same time. But make sure that you're bringing in and prioritizing all the healthy stuff, ingesting those, hydrating well, ingesting things also that's, not food things and not liquid things like what you watch on TV, the people that you're around. Make sure that you really are feeding your stomach, your heart, and your soul with healthy things. This is when you really need to prioritize it, because the emotional train that you can ride, especially at this time of year, just as like when someone is dying, can be extremely trying, can be extremely exhausting and depleting for you. So being really patient, prioritizing your self-care, and then knowing that everybody else, your other loved ones who had some kind of relation with this person that had died, there could be a lot of other feelings of guilt and other things like that, the same similar feelings. I can go through all the feelings, but typically the feelings that you feel are the guilt, the remorse, the sadness, the missing of that person, or maybe there is relief. Some people, there is truly relief. And whatever it may be, not only being patient with yourself, but knowing that you're probably going to need to be patient with other people, especially if they have different feelings or they're struggling more with this death of this person. The one thing you can do that I have found has been really helpful for families who've been grieving was to either practice that tradition that they had with that person when they were alive, and or add something on top of that tradition or do a different tradition altogether. Make sure that for most people, honoring the person who's died to some degree has been very helpful to them, but also creating a new tradition can also be helpful. This is really good, especially if you had a tumultuous relationship with a person who died, if holidays already are just kind of a stressful moment for you. But making sure that you do have either celebrating the tradition, if that brings comfort with the person that you had died before, bringing that back into the picture, adding on top of it, or scratching it all together and creating a new one. Those kinds of ritualistic types of things helps us redirect our energy, redirect our focus and our intent, and can be more beneficial than we realize, particularly when we do them. So I encourage you to give that a try and let me know if there's anything particular that really helped. The other thing I want to address is for holidays, this is also a time where people may be realizing that their very ill loved one who may be on hospice or who maybe just got suddenly ill or had a sudden traumatic event, whatever it may be, that they may be having, in fact, their last holiday with them. And this can be extremely difficult because you're starting to realize, it's starting to sink in that, whoa, Uncle so-and-so, who's your favorite person on the planet, may not be here next year. And what's really important, particularly if there are certain holiday traditions or whatever that may be, whatever is traditional for you, and I don't care if it's related to a holiday or not, the holidays just tend to bring it all out because most people have some type of tradition associated with this time of year, whether it's just eating a pie together to just decorating, whatever that may be. Talk to your hospital staff, talk to your hospice team, whatever it may be, to see how you can bring those traditions in at the bedside, particularly if that person is at the hospital or at a nursing facility. And make sure to personalize it. Don't just go with whatever everybody's doing. Make sure to really personalize it to you. Take advantage of the technology we have today and, with appropriate permissions or consent, however you want to most comfortably go about this. Use a video recorder, use your voice recorder. Use all this technology that we have now to commemorate and to solidify that memory if you want to go back and watch it again. But really make it personable to you and make sure that if you're working with a hospice team, this is where they can really, really help you. The hospital team as well should be able to help you. Anyone in the medical system should be able to help you because they should realize, being the key word here, that this is a really specific time, but special time, and that this may be the very last holiday season that you are with this loved one. And I don't want to forget the person who may be watching this and thinking, well, what if that person is me? What if that person who's me, who is so sick that maybe I may not be alive next year to celebrate the holidays with my loved ones? And if that is you, for what it's worth, I want you to know that I have been thinking about you and your situation a lot today, thinking about what it must be like entering this holiday season with seeing all of the people kind of making their plans, buying the stuff, bringing in the candy, the cookies, whatever it may be, seeing the holiday-themed commercials and stuff on TV, YouTube, whatever it is, social media. And I imagine that it must be a feeling of a lot of loneliness and feeling really alone and feeling really isolated. That's what I imagine. If you don't feel that way, if you're at peace with it, I am so happy for you. But I imagine that for most people, even if this may not be their very last one, if they're ill and they're thinking this may be their second to last, for example, that must be a very, very tough thing. And the only reason I try to really imagine, try to empathize, especially when I was very ill, I thought about, my gosh, if I have a serious thing that happens to me by 45, like the doctor said, and be dead by 50, I am on a number, I'm on a scale and it's coming really, really quickly to where that this could be one of the last holiday seasons. And I'm not even a big holiday celebrator. Actually, I don't even have Christmas decorations. I've never put up Christmas decorations. We just never did that. This year I have just a little Christmas plant because we have visitors coming that I put a bow on. And that's the only reason why I have it. But the holiday season itself, I kind of like seeing all the decorations outside and like all the warm fuzzy stuff. It's just kind of fun. And baking pies, whatever. That's my thing. But I imagine it's extremely lonely. And I first just need to tell you that I have been thinking about people in these situations a lot today, actually a lot this week, because I was planning on making this video. And for what it's worth, I am thinking about you a lot, and I'm acknowledging how lonely it must be, how isolating it must be, and how scary it must be to not only know that this could be the very last one, but then to know that you may be missing future holiday seasons where you might be practicing with a family, might be doing the traditions without you, and watching, certain people in your family, especially if they're children or grandchildren, and how that must feel as you're thinking about that and playing in your head. I'm not going to propose the best solution here for you, because what is most important is to acknowledge your experience. And the second is to normalize it, really, even though I don't want it to sound trivial. I don't want it to just dilute your experience into just like, oh, it's normal. But I do want to say that having the fear, feeling the isolation, feeling the feelings that you're feeling are going to happen, and they are considered normal. Anyone in your situation experiencing this would experience, I'm guessing, similar, if not the same emotions. And that's the thing that death really does, is it is so sobering, because it really reminds us of the finality of all of this stuff. And when we have finality, we have value. When we realize that these things are fleeting, these moments are fleeting. And what I encourage you to do is, if you'd like, to make sure that this is you have a special day, a special afternoon, whatever it may be, that where you really can call the terms and conditions to have certain family, or maybe not have family at all. Maybe just have friends or other loved ones around you to do something. Maybe they bring you their favorite ice cream. Hopefully you're working with a hospice team. They have they have tons of volunteers that can do these things, bring you In-N-Out Burger, whatever it may be. Use them, call upon them, and make sure you use them. And if you are terminally ill, make sure you're not dying without hospice. Even if you don't have insurance, hospices can, and they're required to provide some amount of charity cases. So if you call one hospice and they're not doing a charity, then they won't have the capability to do a charity case. That's what they're called, a charity case, or a case without insurance. Keep calling, keep checking with other hospices, talk to your case manager if you have a case manager at the hospital, if you have someone with insurance. Do not die without hospice, because you need that support there. And another thing you can do here, especially at the time of holidays, is leave some kind of legacy, whether it's doing a little video, writing something, doing some Christmas cards maybe, or whatever, Hanukkah or whatever other holiday that you have, Kwanzaa, whatever it may be. Do the cards for next year, maybe the next holiday season when you aren't around, and the people, your family, your loved ones will be celebrating without you. So those are just a few things. I don't want to trivialize this part of the video, because I feel like that is just so important. Of course, people experiencing loss, it's also very hard, but if a person is watching this and they're actually in a situation where they may not be here next year, I imagine, what I had already told you, and I just hope that you are able to make this however you want it to be, create whatever legacy you want it to be, and build out of that. Leave your notes, leave your videos, make it as easy as possible for yourself, and make sure you have some special time. And I just hope that you have all the support around you right now that you want and that you need to give you as much comfort. And if you're still feeling the feelings of loneliness, the feelings of separation, isolation, make sure that you are using the support systems around you, not just the loved ones, but, contacting your hospice, contacting your case manager for other people, any other groups that are in a similar situation that you're in, because you don't want to feel lonely. Because trust me, there are people who are going through a similar situation They may not be going through the exact situation, but the thing about serious illness and death and dying is we all experience the same types of emotions, the same types of feelings. So you are not alone in your emotions. You're not alone in those feelings. I love you. I am thinking about you. And I hope this is a time that you dream about and that it can come true. I'll talk to you soon.